Hello. What's up? Hair looks good. Mine looks terrible. Look at I got too much. It's like going all over the place. I can see, and yours looks good. Give it another minute or two here. Get some more people in. Not that the best and the brightest aren't here already. And me, of course. I'm not really among the best or the brightest, but I'm just me. Jared, what's up?
There.
Jared, am I safe in assuming you're a Rick and Morty fan too?
Yes, I am.
New episode this Sunday. I'm excited.
I
Finally.
know. I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't super impressed with the last four, but hopefully these four will be a little funnier.
Yeah, the dragon one I found a little disturbing. I had a hard time with that one.
Yeah, that one was something.
Something, yeah. And like the giant toilet one started out pretty good, and then I don't know what happened. It just went off the rails in me. I think the premise started really good. Like Rick has a whole world that he does his own stuff on, and then to me just kind of went
Oh
off the
yeah,
rails.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what they do with Evil Morty in the uh the Citadel. That's what it's called.
Ah, yes, the one that was yeah. I just rewatched that episode the other night actually, where it turns out he was controlling the Rick or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
but they had the whole the dome of Mortys that were in pain, where that was the shield for so they couldn't be detected or whatever. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. It's three after the time we're supposed to start, so I think we've got a good quorum here. Um, Seeing a few faces, I appreciate that. Anybody else wants to turn their camera on? Certainly feel free. You certainly don't have to. But let's talk housekeeping first, then we'll talk questions. All right, so this week you hopefully had a chance to watch the videos for the higher order graphing on 6.4 and 6.5. At 8 o'clock, I think it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, at 8 o'clock on the D2L site, in an announcement I have posting at 8 o'clock. The review sheet, the review packet for the final will be posted, along with those typed up kind of nice steps that I did for the logs and for the higher order graphing. So that's in a sheet that I've made, and it's attached to the same announcement. So it would be certainly helpful if you had that somewhere, just so you could go through those steps again. I'm sure some of you took notes and things, which is great. But if you need those steps that I've typed out, they're there, so you have them to use. And so then this week, I want you to focus in on is, do the review packet. And what I would suggest that you do is, get that review packet in a form you can use, whether that's you printing it out if you have a printer, and it's great. And if you don't, that's fine. Have it somewhere you can access on a screen, and then write it out. Try to do the problems. All right. Now, some problems you may have some trouble with, and that's okay. But there's a video that's getting posted again tonight on YouTube at 8 o'clock once again, that I've done a video per every question on the review packet. So there's 18 questions on the review packet. There's 18 different videos that are out there. Jared, maybe you can add that to the playlist of things. I was going to wait before I sent your email out till that. Hopefully that's there, and then everything will be in one place, and I don't have to have you updated or anything like that. So,
Sounds good.
okay. So yeah, Jared made a great playlist from all of the 121 videos, and he's got it organized, which is great. So as soon as he adds the review packet, so just ping me when you got that added on there, Jared, and I will send that email to the group then. Perfect. But so, try it yourself. And if you can't do it, that's okay. Then go watch the video on it. Figure out what you're not doing right or what you're doing wrong or whatever it may be, and then try it again. So what I wouldn't do, though, is go watch the video first and then try it. I mean, unless it looks totally foreign to you. If you look at the problem and you're like, I don't even know where to start, well, then go watch the video. But if you have an idea of where to start, try it. See what happens. Everything on there is something we've already done. Some of it a little more recently than some of the other stuff, but all of it is stuff you can do. So I'm confident that every one of you can succeed. And remember that the final exam is really a subset of this review packet. So if you can do everything on the review packet, you're prepared. If there's something you can't do, well, then maybe, hope that doesn't show up on the final. But it is a subset. The final is a subset of that review packet. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Terrific. All right. So let's get to your questions then. What questions do you have about the higher order graphing stuff? Anybody watch the videos? Maybe not. Remember, you're all on mute till you unmute yourself. So that's just how Zoom does it. You didn't watch the video? You did watch the video? I'm just impressed with your hair still. Your hair looks terrific up there. I mean, look at Jared and I's hair, man. We're growing out and it's going in weird directions. And your hair looks great. I mean, I don't know if you shaved it or what, but it's awesome. And I need to get your barber or something. And Blue's hair looks pretty good down there. I mean, geez, you guys, I tell you what, my hair's terrible. I'm hopefully getting a haircut in 2 weeks, and I keep hoping that it's going to happen. So I don't know where my hair's going to go.
All right, Jeff, this is why I am not showing my face tonight, is because my hair looks awful. So I am going to stay right behind this nice little black screen that has my name. But I need a barber, too, let me tell you.
Okay. Well, you could also get a nice, you put a hat on or something. I thought about that myself, but I don't know. I just didn't go that direction. So I wouldn't look as good as Manuela would, but with a head covering on, I don't think it would be not as good. So I decided not to go that direction. But Ashley, you've got yours tamed pretty well there. I'm impressed. All right, so questions. What questions do you have? I know you have to have questions. I'm not that good of a teacher. It seems like you're talking, but remember, you're on mute. You need to, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
It's good now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. What I need was just since everybody uses this book, could you tell us, because everybody is not good in the technology, so could you tell us page by page number on the book, the materials? Could you help us regarding on that one? Just what you done on our midterm exams? Just we need that type of good information.
It's a good question.
If it's possible, unless we're gonna answer.
No, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, it's the review packet, like I said, is 18 questions, and each question covers different things.
Yeah.
But, I think I could probably page through that and our book at the same time and kind of see where we've got on there.
Yeah,
so let me see if I can find my hard copy here of the review packet. So I printed it out because I made notes and things on it, but let's see here.
Jeff, where did you say the review packet was?
It's going to be on our announcement section on our D2L page, and it will go live at 8 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Much like the videos that go with it on YouTube. But yes, it'll be there. And like I said, the other thing that is with that announcement, with that review packet, is also my typed up, it's not really notes, but my typed up processes on how I did the log rules. So all the log rules are there, as well as the synthetic division steps, the rational graphing steps, and the higher order graphing steps. So it's all laid out on that other packet. It's not really a packet. It's like 5 pages or something. But there are 2 different PDFs that are there for you for that. So, all right. So let's see. If I look at the review packet, and you eventually get there too, but, question 1 is about f of x equals and then substituting stuff into f of x. That was a function. So I think that's back in chapter 1 something maybe. Let's see, that's equations of lines. Let's see, do we have functions here? I know we talked about what a function was, first of all. So let's see, that was a toolbox. Functions and models. So I think it comes right really from 1.1. Yeah, we see a little bit in 1.1 and a little bit in 1.3. And that's really questions 1 and 2 are related to that.
Okay.
Question 3 is about inverses. We just did inverses not too long ago. That's from chapter 4.3 actually. And question 4 is also related to inverses. So I guess there's 2 inverse things there. They don't do it in order I would do it in, but they kind of have that.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Question 5 is about basically doing the elimination method, which I know you can all do. I don't remember what section that says. Anybody remember what section elimination was in? 3 something maybe? 2 something? I don't know. There we go. 2.3. And then there's some piecewise functions. They've actually got 2 questions related to piecewise defined functions, which I think are the 2 easiest ones here on the review packet because they're a matter of just looking stuff up. Let's see. Where do we do piecewise defined? I think that's section 3 or end of 2. Let's see. Quadratic. Piecewise. I think that's 3.3 maybe or 3. Yeah, 3.3 was piecewise defined functions. Let's see here. Question 8 deals with graphing, and same with 9. And we did graphing when we did 4.2, I think. No, 4.1, sorry, for that section. Those are both related to that. Question 10 is about compound interest. That was in chapter 5, 5.2. Question 11 and 12 both deal with inequalities, some absolute value inequalities. And just regular inequalities, I guess, and equal signs and absolute values. So whenever we did absolute values, those are there somewhere. 12, let's see here, is 13. 13 is the worst question, I would say, on the whole review packet. Not from the knowledge that it's there, just from the fact that it has A through H parts. So yes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H parts. I can assure you that on your actual exam, some questions are multi-parted, like A, B, C, D. But as far as solving things, which 13 is about, there's nothing that has how many parts? 8 parts on it for solving. That's just way too many. So some of them will have four to solve. And some of the graphing ones kind of have 8 parts, but again, you would do the graph. So it's all part of the graphing experience anyway, even though there's 8 questions, it's all part of how you would do it. So, but 13 is kind of involved. It does log rules, it does exponents. So this one's all about really from the chapter 4 things that we talked about there, doing logarithms and exponents. And remember, the first trick when you're doing anything with logarithms or exponents is, if you can, try to get the same base on both sides. Because if you can, you don't have to use logs. And if you can't, you have to use logs. So I always like it if I don't have to use logs myself versus having to use the logs. But that's that. All right, 14 is graphing a quadratic. So that kind of comes back to 3.1, I think, was when we graphed that stuff. Question 15 basically is another iteration of quadratic graphing, except it's talking about a ball. So the equation changes slightly, but anytime they talk about maximums or minimums or anything, they're talking about vertex. The key to graphing any parabola is the vertex, right? Negative b over 2a and go from there. Except that, a lot of these questions, they don't say what the vertex is. What they'll do is they'll break the vertex into 2 parts. They'll say, when is the maximum reach? Like if you're talking about a ball going up, when, that's time, that's the x value. And then what is the maximum height? That's the y value, right? So instead of just saying, it's 2, 15, 2 is one answer and 15 is another answer. So that's just kind of how they break it up. 16 is higher order graphing on that one. And that's doing synthetic division. So that we just covered that. I think it's 6.4. That sounds right. Something on there. 17 is rational graphing, which we covered in 6.5, the fractional graphing things. And then question 18 is kind of a new question that we hadn't really seen, but it's about conic sections and more along the lines of what shapes do conics take versus the actual how to graph them. So it's more shape oriented than anything else. So, that's actually a good point we could talk about here, because I do it in a video, but I think the video may be just a little bit weak on that point. So let me share a whiteboard here and talk about some conic sections, right? So the different conic sections that are covered really, are something we've already seen before, the parabola, right? Some sort of U or up or down, right? You got that. Then you've got the circle, right? Of course, we all know what a circle looks like. Then we've got what's called an ellipse or an oval. You might see that. So it's longer on one end and rounded on the other end, kind of like that. And then finally, you have what's called the hyperbola, which is basically two parabolas sort of side by side or up and down or whatever it is. So you got parabola, which we know, and the parabola happens when x is squared and y is not. The circle happens when both x is squared and y is squared. The ellipse happens when x is squared and y is squared, but the coefficients of those are not the same. So what we can say here is this would be like saying ax squared and ay squared for our circle. The ellipse is going to be like ax squared and by squared. So a circle might be like 2x squared plus 2y squared. An ellipse might be 2x squared plus 3y squared. And that's how we know it's an ellipse, because it has x squared and y squared, but the coefficients are not the same. And then the hyperbola also has squares, but usually they have fractional pieces on there too, and different fractional pieces at that. That's how we know we have a hyperbola going on, is that it's you see the squares, but it's also fractional in nature. So that's the kind of thing that you need to be able to recognize in case it shows up on the exam. And in past years, it has showed up sometimes on that exam. And it's more like, hey, we'll give you the function and you tell us which one it matches. So they don't actually have you graph it, which is great, but you have to know, what the symbology means so you can go trace it to the right one. Does that make sense to everybody? So I'm not going to actually have you graph it. I just want to be able to recognize the shape. A lot of people thought over time that orbits for planets and things were in a circular shape. And they tried to make the model fit circulars because they used to think that a circle was the perfect shape in nature. But then they discovered, much to their chagrin, that most orbits are actually ellipses or elliptical in nature. With that, very rarely is a orbit a circle. Some of them are, but most of them are ellipses. So kind of an interesting tidbit there. Never knowing that's going to come up on the extra credit part of the test. Because while the normal part doesn't give you an extra credit, I'm going to slip a couple extra credits in there for you.
Discovered by Sir Isaac Newton.
That's right. And proven by a guy named Johann Kepler as well. So Newton and Kepler both contributed to that. Kepler was an interesting story because Kepler, can I tell the story in class? I can't remember if I did or not. He worked for Brahe, but yeah, Kepler, he had a real hard time because he thought the orbits were circles because that's what the Roman Catholic Church had told him. And then he was a very religious man, so he was trying to make the data fit a circle. And then he was also trying to fit the fact that the Earth was at the center of the circle versus, the sun at the center of the circle, if it was going to be a circle, and all the planets revolving around it. So he was trying to do two different things. And then after he got data and started doing all the math behind it, it turned out it was, obviously the Earth wasn't at the center of the circle, and it wasn't a circle at all. It was an ellipse. So either way, there was no center. That's the difference really between a circle and an ellipse. A circle has what's called one center, or one foci, if you will, basically one point that everything goes against, whereas an ellipse actually has two foci. It has usually one on the side to the left over here somewhere, which helps make it up, and another one over here on the right somewhere. And so it has two foci, which of course makes that ellipse work. So usually in our solar system, the sun is one of those points, and they can't really figure out what the other one is. It's just sort of a random point in space that somehow there's some gravitational attachment or other planets have contributed to, and that's forced that orbit to go in that direction. But interesting stuff anyway. At least I always thought so. I like planetary mechanics and orbital dynamics. I think that's interesting stuff. But then again, I kind of work in that industry, so that's probably why I think it's interesting.
Astrophysics.
How we can identify the parabola is whether upward or downward in the first graph?
It just depends on whether the value in front of the x is positive or negative, right? If it's positive, it goes up. If it's negative,
It goes downward.
it goes down. Exactly. So, and what's this one? This one's a minimum, right? Because the vertex is at the bottom. That's called a minimum, right? This one would be a maximum because the vertex is at the top.
Gotcha.
So when they say max, they basically refer to a shape like this. When they say min, they're referring it to it that way. So that's another, thing you can use on, textual. One time we went to Disneyland, and anybody been to Disneyland? They've got this ride called the California Screamin'. and it's a roller coaster, right? And the roller coaster starts off, it doesn't go up a hill like a classic roller coaster. You know, most roller coasters you get in and you go up, you know, you ride flat for a little bit and then suddenly you go up this big hill, you know, and you're building up steam and you're watching because it's slowly going up the hill and you're going, oh my gosh, this is going to be a real thrill because you watch that top of the hill coming, you can see how high up you are, and it's this whole thing. And, you know, it works that way. But the California Screamin', you come around, you get in the car and it comes around this corner and it stops. And you look in front of you and there's no hill or anything. And you're like, what's going on here? Why is the roller coaster stopped? And it's like, you're waiting and all of a sudden you hear this like 3, 2, 1. And suddenly it shoots you from like 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds, right? And so you're just screaming. That's why they call it the California Screamin'. You're screaming along and you didn't have to build up speed. You just shoot you that fast. Well, at a certain point in the roller coaster, right, they always take your picture. Because, you know, they want you to have a souvenir, pay for it or whatever it is, right? And we had ridden the roller coaster a couple of times with the family, and I knew right where the camera was. So my son and I were riding in a car, and it was 4 to a car. So there was 2 in front and 2 in back in the same car. Well, we were in the back part. So I knew where the camera was coming up, and as soon as the moment hit, I did a classic pose. I did like this, right? My son, who was, you know, barely tall enough to even ride the roller coaster, I maybe did something, but all we saw was basically when I looked down and saw Ashley's picture down there was basically just this set of eyes looking out. So that's what reminded me of that story. I still got the picture. It's a great picture, but all you see is these eyes. Like, I'm like, hey, and then there's eyes right next to me. So when she was adjusting her cat, all I saw was the top of her, like the eyes and the top of your forehead there, Ashley. So. Other questions? Any questions?
Can I ask a question about
No, you can't ask. Of course you can ask a question. What do you got?
Well, it's actually over one that you kind of like halfway went through over the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
But then, you know,
So-
I got to that point too, but then when I checked my answer with the back of the book, I am not getting the answer that's at the back of the book, and you didn't complete the question all the way, I guess.
Well, it's entirely
was-
possible I screwed it up too. Okay, let me clear the screen. What do you got?
It's number 19, chapter 4.4.
Okay, so 4.4, number 19. Let's see what we got here. Okay.
So you basically got to the point of 2u minus 3 times u plus 4 equals 0. And then I tried to solve for u and then substitute the x 1 over 3 or something. But yeah, like my answers are completely nowhere near what the book's answers are.
Well, let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. All right. So
Okay.
again, we want to do a U substitution. We don't have to do a U substitution, but it certainly makes looking at it a little bit prettier and nicer. And we're always going to substitute for the middle term, especially as long as the secondary term is twice the middle term. In other words, the power is twice as much. So this is x to the 1/3. If I took x 1/3, you know, times 2 or 1/3 plus 1/3, I would get 2/3. So this is a perfect time to use that substitution, because what it means is that we have 2u squared as the first term, and then just 5u is the second term, minus 12 equals 0. All right, did we decide if it was factorable? Let's see here, 4 and 3, I think it was. So I think we said 2u and u, and then we had 4 here and 3 here. All right, because 4 times 3 is 12, 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 3 should be 5. So that should be a plus here and a minus here, and it still equals 0. So that's going to tell us that 2u is equal to 3, basically, and that u is equal to minus 4. You with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can't remember if that's where we got to before or not, but we'll pretend we did. All right. So then if I divide by 2 here, I'm going to get 1u is 3/2, and another u is still -4. All right, I think we're good. We're looking pretty good here so far. Let me just check my work to make sure that we're looking good. Okay, I think we're looking good for that. And I wrote it down right? I did not. Okay, good. Make sure I wrote it down right. Okay, so then the next step is to say, well, if we were solving for u, we'd be done. But we're not solving for u. We're solving for x. So really what we have is x to the 1/3. Let's rewrite x to the 1/3. The cubic root of x is equal to 3/2, and the cubic root of x is equal to -4. All right, because x to the 1/3 is the same as the cubic root. Not a square root, that'd be a half power. You still with me?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so then to get x, we're going to have to cube both sides of both problems. Excuse me. So that means we got to take this one, we got to go 3 on it. We got to take this one, we got to go 3, and this one here and go 3, and this one here and go 3. So it looks like x is going to be equal to, so 3 cubed, that is 27. 3 times 3 times 3, and 2 cubed is 8. So it looks like one answer is going to be 27/8. And then the other answer is -4 cubed. Well, -4 times -4 times negative is still a negative answer, first of all. And 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So I don't know if that's what the book got in the back, but hopefully
Yes,
that's what
it
they
is.
got. Okay, good.
It is. Yep.
You had me scared
Okay.
there. That,
So for some reason, what I thought that I was supposed to do was basically I wrote x 1/3 equals 3/2. So like I was trying to plug in the numbers into the x over 1/3. I don't know where I got that, but
so you wrote that, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and you know,
And
you
then
don't
I
have to.
solved for x.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to
Trying
take you don't have to call it cube root, but we do the same thing even if it wasn't a cube root or you didn't see it as a cube root, because the only way to get rid of a 1/3 power is to take that
Multiply
power,
by 3.
yeah, and do that, right? Because now
Right.
these two powers multiply, but you have to do that on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would still give you your x, and it would still give you our 27/8 as well.
Okay. All right.
So sometimes I think it's easier just sometimes to recognize it as a cubic root, because then you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do with that. Sometimes when it's 1/3, you're like, okay, what do I do with that again? So
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
you're welcome. But if it was the 1/4 root or the 1/7 root, we'd do the same thing. We'd take 7th power both sides anyway to get to our answer.
Okay. I got it.
Good. Other questions? Makes me happy when I can give some knowledge out. Now it's the roller coaster all over again. I see eyes just again here. No, nobody else has. Danielle, you have no questions? I mean, I find that hard to believe. Especially knowing what I know about you, Danielle.
Hey now, don't be picking on me. You know what my kids call that? My teenagers? They call that hopping on my bucket. Don't hop on my bucket, Jeff.
Okay, I won't hop on your bucket, Danielle.
Yeah, it's been a rough week.
I
don't know.
bet. But, you know, the good news is we're coming to an end, hopefully. And maybe it's not good news. Maybe things are ramping up in your other classes and they're really putting it on you. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, they are. I have quite the finals coming up, but
I mean, I have tried not to, pile on too much to get us where we need to go. But I've been continually reminded by my department chair that, this class is a guaranteed transfer class. And if there's certain material we don't cover that maybe could affect you personally, between you and me in this video, I don't expect that at all, because I think that, future semesters are going to look back at this semester and they're going to say, you're a COVID-19 semester survivor and we're going to cut your break on certain things. So, because you did it. I mean, yeah, I could say that we covered as much material as I could get in safely and feel like you could learn. And, if we happen to miss one thing or two things, in the end, I don't think it's that important, because I've tried to cover those important things and make sure that you are fully prepared if you are going on to calculus or statistics or any of the other higher math classes that happen after algebra. I think that what you've got in your tool set up to this point is sufficient, at least for what I know is in those things. So that's what I've tried to do. I mean, I could care less whether the thing is a guaranteed transfer or not. I want to prepare you the best way I can prepare you for any future. That's the way I looked at things. So. All right, then. So if there's no other questions, let's just go one last time and figure out, let's again talk about the expectations. We're all on the same page. So as soon as this video is over, the announcements should be posted on D2L. So maybe you have two screens like I do, and you can see that it's posted already, but I did set it for 8 o'clock, and it is 8 o'clock. So that should be posted. Again, it'll be an announcement, and the announcement has the review packet as a PDF and my work as a PDF that goes with it. So look at both of those pages if you can. The review packet has 18 questions. It also includes the answers. So it has the 18 questions first, then it has 2 or 3 pages of answers that follow that. And then it also has a formula sheet at the back end of that. You know, when we give this live, you only had that formula sheet. Obviously, you guys are going to be taking it semi-live because you'll be taking it in the comforts of your own home. So that formula sheet isn't really that necessary, but, you know, it's not a bad thing to have back there. So again, try, you know, get the review packet first, try a problem or multiple problems or all the problems, I mean, whatever it is, and then go watch the videos if you have any struggle points. Or if you get an answer and you look at the back and you're like, you know, that's not the answer that I got. And if that's the case, then, you know, go look at the video and see what was going on with that so you can understand why they got the answer that they did. So.
Can you let Belle outside for me, please?
All right, but do that first. And also, I will remind us all of this next week too, but you guys can get a jump on if you haven't already. There's an app that I'd like you to get if you can. It's free for both Android and iPhone. It's called Genius Scan. It's a great way to consolidate your work. If you don't have a scanner at home, some of us don't have scanners. And, you know, when we do our work for the exam, we might have multiple pages of our own. And first, again, I want to stress when it comes to the exam, you do not have to print it out. Some of us don't even have printers, and that's okay. So you can just keep your own piece of paper, you know, write number 1 on it, and then put the answers down. And that's fine. I mean, obviously, I need to see the work as part of it. So, you know, don't just give me an answer sheet and call it good, because that's just not going to work. But give me the, you know, work that you did and the answer, you know, circle it, square it, you know, highlight it. I don't care. Then you can take a picture of it and each page with this Genius Scan. And what Genius does then is consolidates it all into one PDF file. So you don't have to send like 16 pages because you've got 16 pages on the test. Hopefully you won't have that many pages. But if you did, you don't have to send me 16 files. You send me one file because it's all the pictures you just took are organized on it. So if you get a chance, download this app, play with it a little bit, make sure you know how to do it. It's pretty intuitive. That's why I picked it. I've done it myself a couple of times just to make sure that it's not, you know, really hard to get technology-wise. One of my students in my other class sent me something, and I don't know what she did on it. It said Genius Scan on it, but I don't know if she didn't consolidate because there was only one page, and so we had to work out that issue because the second time through, she got me all the pages, but the first time was a little bit weird. But you know, so if you could download that, that'll be helpful when it comes to your final, especially when you send it back to me. And if it doesn't work and you can't get it to work, that's fine. You can send me 16 files back too. But certainly I would prefer if you use this Genius Scanner or some other scanner. Again, if you have a scanner at home, just great. Just scan it in that way and send me the file that way. But if you don't have a scanner or it's a pain to use or whatever it is, this Genius Scan's a really nice app to have, and especially for anything that way. So it's really cool to use that. So, but get that if you can this week and experiment with a little bit. You got to be something for coming here a little early. You know, we talked about Kepler and we talked about Sir Isaac Newton. You never know if those names are going to come up again on a extra credit or something. Maybe they will. Most likely they will. I don't know. Something. We'll see for that. And the videos should be live on YouTube as well. So again, try the packet though, and then before you go to the videos, don't just watch the video and then be like, I got it. You need practice, right? That's probably why you want to have that packet and try it yourself. And then again, if it doesn't get it, then you go watch the video on it. But don't just watch the video first. Make sense there, buddy?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
All right, so Jared, I'll look forward to you pinging me when you got the new I guess the new videos on the playlist, and then I'll send that out to everybody as well to send you a D2L email that has that playlist on it. So,
have you yet updated for the attendance of the class for the last 2 weeks, teacher?
You know, I haven't updated the attendance in the actual D2L register, and I'm planning to do that this weekend. I've been a little busy just doing videos for both classes and everything else, but my other class, you know, I'm kind of finally to that point where I'm done with videos and I can finally go back to getting some grading done. So yes, expect your attendance and whatnot to update on D2L so you know what that is and all that other fun that goes with it. So And, you know, I'm available this week. So if anybody has any questions leading up to the final and you want to meet with me, you know, privately or whatever, you know, email me. We'll figure something out. So I definitely have some time to figure some things out. And, you know, if you need a little extra time with me on a Zoom session, you know, we've got the whiteboard. We can definitely work some things out. But I don't know unless you communicate with me. So let me know by email if that's going to happen or if you need it. And again, we can figure something out. The tutoring is still live as well at the tutoring center, also free. So if you need that too. But I feel good about where you guys are at. I feel that you guys can do this exam and you're going to do a great job on it. So do the review packet. Like I said, it really is a great review for that final because everything on the final is a subset of the review packet. Yes, there are things in the review packet that don't make the final, thank goodness. But if you can do the review packet, then you can do everything that's on the exam. So you guys will do just fine. I feel good about it. You know, in years past, that has always been the case for me. I've been nervous going into some of these finals where I'm like, oh boy, my class isn't going to do that well. But not this year. I feel good about where you guys are at. So I think we've covered a lot of things. And I know it's been a tough semester. I know seems like the second half of this, which I'm calling, has really been a long semester for a lot of us, me included. Probably, you know, not as much as you guys who are actually doing the classes and everything else. But I tell you what, producing content definitely takes a toll on you. So I need a break too. And I am definitely looking forward to a break of some sort, even if I can't go anywhere, just having a break and being able to hang out a little bit. So, all right, then I will leave you to it again. If you have any questions or any comments, you have anything you need, email me. I'll be, you know, I try to check at least once a day. So, you know, maybe a day before I get back to you, but I do try to check it once a day. So good luck, stay healthy, wash your hands. I'll see you next week. Remember, next week we go early, not 7:30, but 6:30 next week, because I want to give you extra time to get started on that exam and talk about review packet questions and whatnot. So 6:30 next week, but I'll see you all then.